Hey, what is going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to have a conversation about controller in Season 8 and how it's expected to be massively buffed in two key areas. One, the aim assist change, and two, an edit mode sensitivity change. I'm going to play some older gameplay because it illustrates how controller used to play in older seasons and how in Season 8 we're kind of going to go back to that in a sense. Not fully, but in some ways, yes. And you'll see that through the change to the aim assist that we're expecting for Season 8. Now, just for some brief historical context, Season 4, 5, and 6, as you probably know, aim assist was very strong because you could use a technique that most of you will know as L2 spamming. The idea behind it is if you could line up your target pretty close and then tap aim down sights right before you fire, the game would snap your crosshair onto the target, and if you got good at keeping it close, but it doesn't have to be exactly on the target, and timing that snap-on effect with when you fire with an AR, hand cannon, revolver, at range, it would be incredibly effective. You could argue you have better aim on controller than keyboard and mouse, and even at close range, it was still pretty effective just rapidly spamming in and out with an SMG. Now, of course, an insanely god tier keyboard player can also have the insane aim, but the idea was that even if you didn't have god tier aim on controller, if you knew how to use aim assist correctly, you could give your aim a massive boost, and you could play around that advantage you have in aim assist, forcing AR engagements to be successful even with only meh mechanics. This season, Season 7, we saw the introduction of the L2 cooldown, which basically threw that out the window. While yes, the snap-on effect is still very powerful, the snap-on effect just doesn't work consistently. Because if you tap L2 too quickly, there will be some arbitrary cooldown that will get engaged, and every subsequent tapping of L2 until that cooldown has expired simply won't give you a snap-on. What that meant is that you could no longer rely on the snap-on, while situationally it would work if you even did a thing like pull out your shotgun, aim down sights, shoot, switch to hand cannon, aim down sights, back to shotgun, aim down sights, which I don't think most of you would consider L2 spamming. Aim assist may just not work at all. So it just wasn't reliable, and you could no longer do that. With Season 8, we're expecting this L2 cooldown to be dropped, meaning you'll be able to go back to L2ing at full speed like you were in Season 5 and 6. What does that mean? You can now rely on aim assist to actually work much more reliably. I think that's a great change because, well, yes, aim assist was situationally strong, and maybe a nerf could be argued for. Making it not work half of the time is a terrible solution, just makes it wildly inconsistent. So that's going to be a major buff to controller, basically putting it back to how it was in Season 5, 6, 4, whatever previous season you want. The second major change is going to be related to the edit mode sensitivity. Now, again, for historical context on this, with Season 5, we saw the introduction of custom binds, which definitely helped controller, but there was no way to adjust your build and edit mode sensitivity. So what that meant is that you had to play this compromise game between do you set it higher to maximize building potential, editing potential, or do you set it lower to make your aim stronger? It's hard to say. It's very 50-50 which way you went. In Season 6, we saw the introduction of the build mode sensitivity multiplier, which definitely helped, but your edit mode sensitivity was still tied to your base sensitivity. So overall, you were still playing the game of do you set your sensitivity high or low. With Season 7, we saw that get changed to where the edit mode sensitivity was based on your building multiplier, which definitely helped, as your build and edit sensitivity you would probably expect to be fairly similar, but still not ideal. And with Season 8, we're expecting the introduction of the edit mode sensitivity multiplier that's independent from build mode. So that means you're going to be able to set a separate build and edit sensitivity. Overall, that's just another buff that pushes controller mechanics closer to keyboard and mouse. Doesn't mean that controller mechanics will ever match keyboard and mouse. Probably not. Doesn't mean you can't have good mechanics. But if you're expecting controller to be as good as keyboard and mouse on the mechanical front, I think you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. But still, another nice little buff to controller that I think will make it overall better. I think Season 8 will be a season where controller genuinely will be quite viable, just like Season 6. It'll be close to keyboard and mouse. Not quite as good at the highest level. But if you enjoy controller playing with controller and the playstyle associated with it, I totally see no issues with playing with controller. I think controller will be quite a decent option in Season 8, and I'm quite excited for that. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.